Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material, the research, the article, the internal notes, and we cut right to the core of what you really need to know.
And today, we are strapping in for a high-speed, high-density tour through a state that is, I think, arguably one of the most misunderstood in the Union.
Oh, absolutely. New Jersey.
New Jersey. It's a true study in some fascinating contradictions.
It really is. And when you just look at its location on a map, you immediately get why it matters so much. It sits right at the geographic hub of the Northeast megalopolis.
Yeah.
You know, that massive, heavily urbanized corridor.
Right, from Boston down to D.C.
Exactly. And New Jersey is the connective tissue in the middle of all of it, bordered by New York, Pennsylvania, the Delaware River, and, of course, the Atlantic Ocean.
Its strategic position is just, well, it's unparalleled. It's geographically small, yes, but its political and economic weight far, far exceeds its landmass.
And that gets us right to the heart of it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The central, most compelling paradox of the state.
It really does.
You know what? I know it. Maybe you even grew up thinking of it as the Garden State.
That's the nickname.
And that name, it suggests these bucolic images, rolling fields, agriculture, a few picturesque farms here and there.
But the statistical truth just completely shatters that image.
Completely. New Jersey is the single most densely populated state in the entire U.S.
And this density, it's not a statistical fluke. It's not just driven by one large city, for instance.
No, not at all.
The U.S. Census Bureau classifies every single one of its counties as urban.
Every single one. That's why?
Every single one. So think about what that really implies. It means that in the official federal classification, there's virtually no space within New Jersey that's considered, traditionally rural or remote.
Wow. That fact alone just completely upends that whole pastoral Garden State image.
It does.
So our mission today is to really unpack this paradox. We've pulled out the key data points that define modern New Jersey, focusing on its growth, its incredibly unique social fabric, which is like a global microcosm.
It really is.
Its immense wealth, and the absolutely crucial role it plays in the national economy and our history. I think you're going to walk away from this deep dive with a completely new perspective on New Jersey.
I think so, too. Let's start with a snapshot. Just a few of the most surprising metrics that immediately tell the story of the state's affluence and development.
Okay.
First, the economics. They're staggering. As of 2023, the median household income sits at a stunning $99,781.
Almost $100,000. That's just shy of a six-figure median income.
Just shy. It makes New Jersey the second highest state nationally for median household income. It only trails Massachusetts, and only slightly.
But when you start talking about wealth concentration, the data is even more striking.
It is. New Jersey has the highest concentration of millionaires of any state in the nation, period.
The highest concentration.
We're talking about 9.76% of all households there.
Almost 1 in 10.
Almost 1 in 10 households is classified as a millionaire household. That translates to over 323,000 households.
And you have to assume that's because of its proximity to Wall Street, to Philly, all those massive scientific and corporate headquarters. It just concentrates wealth inside the state's borders.
Exactly.
But the question that immediately comes to my mind is, with that high median income, is it actually enough? I mean, is it enough to meet the incredibly high cost of living that we all associate with that region?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Does all that immense concentrated wealth mask a kind of financial strain for the majority, the non-millionaire class?
And that's a crucial distinction, and the source material really implies that it does. While the median income is high, the cost of housing, transportation, and especially property taxes, which, believe me, we will dissect in detail later,
I'm sure.
It means that the purchasing power of that $99,000 might not feel as expansive as it would in, say, the Midwest.
Not even close.
The wealth is absolutely there, but so is the economic pressure cooker.
Okay, so beyond the sheer economics, the sources also confirm New Jersey's massive investment in its future through education. It consistently ranks as one of the top public school systems in the country.
They really back that ranking up with major spending. New Jersey spends the second most per public school student in the nation.
The second most.
We're talking about $26,600 per pupil.
Wow.
That massive investment, which is often cited as a key reason for those high property taxes, It clearly pays off in educational outcomes. It allows New Jersey to rank consistently at or near the top in national studies.
And now we have to turn to a fact that is, frankly, it's genuinely chilling, especially when you consider that density and wealth. This is something you really don't hear often.
No, you don't.
Climatology research by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, it confirms that New Jersey has been the fastest warming state by average air temperature over a 100-year period.
The fastest warming. And that finding is specifically attributed to the warming of the North Atlantic Ocean, which reflects the state's long coastline and its coastal geography.
It's a really stark data point that puts New Jersey, with its dense population and irreplaceable economic infrastructure like the Port of Newark, the massive transportation corridors, it puts it at the absolute forefront of environmental challenges.
It really does. It makes all that data about high-value real estate and massive infrastructure seem all of a sudden very fragile.
Exactly. So that's our snapshot of the modern reality. Affluent, educated, dense, and warming rapidly. Now let's jump into the history that forged this modern powerhouse.
To really understand New Jersey, you have to go way back. You have to start with its first inhabitants, the Paleo-Indians, who were in the region as early as 13,000 BC.
Okay.
But when the Europeans began arriving in the early 17th century, the dominant indigenous group they encountered were the Lenape.
The Lenape. They were often called the Delaware Indians by the Europeans.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. And they had a specific name for the land that is now New Jersey. They called it Sheshbe. And their civilization was complex, highly organized.
And that organization is so critical. I mean, they weren't some monolithic tribe.
Not at all. They were autonomous groups, organized into 3 distinct dialectal groups, the Munsee, the Unami, and the Unlachtigo. And these were often subdivided even further into clans, identified by animal signs like the turtle, the turkey, and the wolf.
And their social structure was fascinating. The sources highlight that they were characterized by matrilineal clans.
Which means that lineage, inheritance, ancestry, it was all traced entirely through the common female ancestors.
Which gave women a really significant role in determining clan leadership and social direction.
It did. And their economy was quite sophisticated for the time. They sustained themselves through maize agriculture, hunting, fishing, gathering. But the nature of their relationship with those first Dutch and Swedish settlers was, well, it was quickly dominated by one commodity.
The fur trade.
The fur trade. And while it was initially mutually beneficial, it rapidly introduced European diseases and immense land pressure that just devastated the Lenape population. It paved the way for colonial takeover.
And speaking of those settlers, the colonial era was just defined by these constant shifts in ownership. The Dutch were the first Europeans to lay an official claim, integrating the region into their territory of New Netherland.
And they established the first permanent European settlement at Pavonia in 1630. That later became Bergen.
But it wasn't just the Dutch. You also had this short-lived but historically significant colony established by the Swedes.
New Sweden, yeah. Which was conquered by the Dutch in 1655. But the real game changer, the moment that really defined the state's political trajectory, was the English takeover in 1664.
An English fleet just sailed in, took control of Fort Amsterdam, and annexed the entire province.
Just like that. The new owners, Sir George Carteret and Lord Berkeley of Stratton, were gifted the land, and it was named the Province of New Jersey after the loyal Channel Island, Jersey.
What's so fascinating is how quickly New Jersey developed this complex ethnic and religious diversity. It wasn't just populated by people migrating directly from England.
No, it was the secondary wave of migration, people coming from other established colonies.
So you're talking about Scots, Presbyterians, and New England Congregationalists pouring into East Jersey.
Exactly. Alongside Dutch Reformed settlers who had remained in the north. And meanwhile, West Jersey was being dominated by Quakers and Anglicans.
And all that diversity, it created immediate political and geographic division. From 1674 to 1702, New Jersey was actually governed as 2 distinct provinces.
East and West Jersey. And that split wasn't arbitrary at all. It structurally mirrored the different ethnic and religious populations who had settled in each region. This often led to conflicting land claims, different governance styles.
Right. The Quakers, who emphasized pacifism and religious tolerance, they held sway in the more agrarian West.
So the division wasn't just administrative, it was philosophical, it was spiritual.
And the 2 provinces were finally reunited in 1702 under a single royal governor. But that internal tension, that competition between the northern interests, the Quaker interests, the Dutch interests, it really set the stage for its later political complexity.
It ensured the state never really had a single, unified cultural identity.
And it seems like all that colonial tension was just the prelude to the Revolutionary War, which just exploded on New Jersey soil.
It earned that lasting and very accurate title, Crossroads of the American Revolution, because of the sheer scale of the conflict that took place there.
The sources note a staggering 296 military engagements occurred within New Jersey.
296. That is more clashes, more skirmishes, more battles than in any other of the original 13 colonies. It was literally the battleground.
The place where the revolution was won or lost in so many critical moments.
And we all remember the major pivotal moments. George Washington's covert crossing of the ice-choked Delaware River on Christmas night, 1776. Leading to that decisive victory at the Battle of Trenton, and then the crucial follow-up win at Princeton just over a week later. These weren't minor victories. They were essential for boosting morale and ensuring the Continental Army even survived the winter.
And the state housed the Army during those brutal winters. The Continental Army's winter quarters were established twice in Morristown. The sources describe it as having been effectively dubbed the military capital of the American Revolution.
Yeah.
So why Morristown specifically?
Well, Morristown offered a combination of strategic advantages. It had high ground for defense, it was relatively isolated from the major coastal hubs, but it was also close to ironworks and supply routes in Pennsylvania.
So a secure place to rebuild.
A secure place to rebuild and resupply an army that was on the brink of collapse. And the fact that the population tolerated the constant demands of the army is a testament to the state's deep commitment to the independence movement, even though they were being repeatedly ransacked by both sides.
Politically, New Jersey was a foundational player in the new nation. It was the third state to ratify the U.S. Constitution in 1787.
And this next point is often overlooked, but it's a huge claim to fame. On November 20th, 1789, New Jersey became the first state in the newly formed Union to ratify the Bill of Rights.
The first state.
The first. That speed and commitment really showcases its foundational importance in establishing the legal framework of the United States.
Moving into the 19th century, New Jersey continued to be defined by this sort of gradual social change, particularly around slavery.
Right. While it was considered a northern state, it was the last of the northern states to abolish new slavery in 1804.
And crucially, this abolition was gradualist. What does that mean exactly?
It means it only freed the children of enslaved people when they reached a certain age, and it did not free the existing enslaved population immediately.
Wow.
It phased out existing slavery so slowly, in fact, that the sources document about a dozen African Americans were still technically held in bondage by the time the Civil War ended.
An extremely protracted, incremental path to full emancipation.
Larry. And that complexity carried through to the Civil War itself. Politically, the state was an anomaly within the Union. It was one of the few Union states, along with Delaware and Kentucky, that did not support Abraham Lincoln twice.
Right. They favored Stephen Douglas in 1860, and then George McClellan, a New Jersey native, in 1864.
And this political independence reflects that long-standing division between pro-Union sentiment and powerful commercial ties to the South, especially among the merchant and farming classes.
And yet, despite being so politically divided, no Civil War battle was ever fought within the state's borders.
None, which allowed that industrial transformation to continue uninterrupted.
And that transformation was rapid and profound. The key driver was infrastructure, specifically the completion of the Morris Canal in 1831.
The canal was absolutely vital. It allowed anthracite coal to be transported efficiently from the massive coal deposits in eastern Pennsylvania directly to North Jersey's growing industrial centers.
Which fueled massive growth in cities like Paterson, Newark, and Jersey City.
Exactly. The economy rapidly shifted from agrarian to highly industrialized, focusing on manufactured goods ranging from textiles and silk to iron and locomotives.
And you simply cannot talk about innovation, industrialization, or New Jersey without detailing the profound impact of Thomas Edison.
No, you can't. He is arguably the definitive figure of the Industrial Revolution in the state and, really, the nation.
He was granted 1,093 U.S. patents during his lifetime.
An incredible number. And a vast number of those, the ones that fundamentally changed human existence, were developed at his facilities, first at Menlo Park, and then later at West Orange.
Menlo Park, which he established in 1876, is so significant. His facilities there are considered perhaps the first true industrial research and development centers in the United States.
He formalized the process of invention. He essentially created the modern R&D lab model that corporations worldwide would soon adopt.
And here's a fantastic little trivia fact that connects back to the modern state. Christie Street in Menlo Park was the first thoroughfare in the world to feature electric lighting.
A global first.
Yeah.
Right there in the Garden State. It just showcases the state's role as the birthplace of modern electrical convenience.
So wrapping up the history in the 20th century, New Jersey transforms into a critical center for war production during both world wars.
Yeah, its existing industrial base was just easily converted to military manufacturing.
And in World War II, this industrial contribution was enormous.
It was. The state manufactured 6.8% of the total United States military armaments, ranking 5th among the 48 states at the time. This included naval construction, ammunition, all sorts of essential supplies pouring out of the Newark and Jersey City ports.
And this industrial might, coupled with the explosion of suburbanization after the war, demanded modern, high-capacity infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
The major arteries that define travel in the state today, the New Jersey Turnpike, opened in '51, and the Garden State Parkway, completed in '57. They were designed specifically to facilitate this growth.
And those roads are absolutely fundamental to the state's modern structure. They facilitated efficient commercial and interstate travel, but maybe more importantly, they spurred massive suburbanization.
And they opened up the Jersey Shore.
They opened up the iconic Jersey Shore to millions of residents from the burgeoning New York metro area, ensuring that tourism and recreation became key economic drivers right alongside industry.
Okay, so we've established that this state is historically vital, industrially powerful, dense, and affluent. Let's talk about how it's organized, because the geography is crucial to understanding the paradox.
It is. New Jersey is broadly divided into 3 regions, North, Central, and South Jersey.
And we have to acknowledge that the very existence of Central Jersey is often the subject of hot, passionate debate among residents.
Oh, it's a huge debate. It's not just geographic, it's cultural. It splits allegiance between the influence of New York City and Philadelphia.
Structurally, though, we can look at 5 distinct geographic areas. Starting in the Northeast, you have the Gateway region.
This area is just inextricably linked to Manhattan. The sources highlight that up to 1 million residents commute daily into New York City for work.
1 million people a day.
1 million people, often via NJ Transit or the past trains. This is really the financial and logistical entry point to the state.
Then you move a bit west to the Skylands region in the Northwest.
And this area is far more wooded, more rural, more mountainous. It's a visual contradiction to the dense coast. It features the state's highest elevation high point at 1,803 feet. It just feels completely different.
And you contrast that with the southern interior, which is dominated by the New Jersey Pine Barrens.
One of the most remarkable geographic features on the East Coast. It's a massive area, over 1.1 million acres, covered extensively by mixed pine and oak forests.
And the Pine Barrens are structurally and politically unique, right? They're protected by federal and state law.
They are, because of their unique ecology and the vast Cohansey aquifer that sits beneath them. And consequently, this region has a significantly lower population density than literally any other section of the state.
Which brings us right back to the great paradox. The green and the dense.
Exactly. New Jersey ranks first nationally in population density. But if you drive into the Pine Barrens, you can find yourself in a silent, vast pine forest feeling utterly isolated.
Forests cover roughly 45% of its entire land area.
About 2.1 million acres. That 45% figure is actually substantial. If you looked at just the forest cover alone, New Jersey ranks 31st nationally.
It's that remarkable concentration of people into small pockets, the towns, the corridors, the suburban municipalities.
That's what allows for maximum population density while still preserving substantial forest and wilderness areas like the Pine Barrens to exist at the same time. It's an incredibly efficient, if sometimes claustrophobic, use of space.
And we can't overlook the iconic feature that draws millions every summer. The coast. The Jersey Shore.
It's one of the state's most iconic features. Miles of sand, communities, and of course the boardwalks. New Jersey holds the distinction of hosting the world's highest concentration of oceanside boardwalks.
And the sources specifically call out the Atlantic City Boardwalk.
Oldest and longest boardwalk in the world. Stretches an impressive 5.5 miles and originally opened way back in 1870.
And the Jersey Shore extends inland into all these bays and inlets. And because of the state's peninsular geography, you get this unique phenomenon where you can actually see both sunrise and sunset over water.
From different points along the coast, yeah.
But that coastal geography, combined with the extreme density we discussed, it exposes the state to increasingly harsh environmental realities.
It does. While the state features two climate zones, humid subtropical in the south and humid continental in the north, the big story, the most critical story for its future, is climate change.
Reaffirming that NOAA finding, New Jersey is the fastest warming state over the last 100 years, directly linked to the warming North Atlantic.
And this isn't some abstract concern. It impacts everything from infrastructure stability to agricultural yields. And this vulnerability was just brutally exposed by severe weather events.
Hurricane Sandy.
The prime example is Hurricane Sandy in 2012, which made landfall near Atlantic City with top winds of 90 miles per hour. It was devastating.
Tens of billions of dollars in damage, wiping out sections of the boardwalks, widespread infrastructure failure.
Especially with the power grid and coastal evacuation routes. The history of Sandy, coupled with the ongoing climate data, means that for the next few decades, planning for resilience and adaptation to sea level rise has to be a major point of consideration.
For any infrastructure discussion in this highly dense, high-value state, the fragility of its low-lying coast is now an established economic risk.
Absolutely. So let's really drill down into the population metrics now, because this is where New Jersey's identity truly crystallizes as this unique global hub.
Okay.
We mentioned it's the 11th most populous state, with over 9.5 million residents. But that density number, 1,291.9 people per square mile, that secures its #1 national ranking.
And that density is married to a highly fragmented municipal structure, which is absolutely critical to understanding how governance works or, sometimes struggles there.
Yes. Consider Bergen County, the state's most populous county, with over 955,000 residents.
But this huge population isn't governed by one central city.
Not at all. It's comprised of a staggering 70 separate municipalities.
70. In one county.
70. And the largest city in that entire county, Hackensack, only has about 46,000 residents.
That's a perfect example of the fragmentation. It shows that New Jersey's urbanization isn't about centralized cities. It's about dense, interconnected suburbia managed by hundreds of tiny localized governments.
Each with its own school system, its own police force, its own zoning board.
Which is an enormous administrative burden that contributes directly to the high cost of living and the tax structure we'll get into.
It is. And this high density also feeds the affluence. We reestablished the median household income is just under $100K, second highest nationally.
And the highest concentration of millionaires.
And this isn't just localized wealth either. The sources emphasize that 3 of New Jersey's 21 counties, Hunterdon, Somerset, and Morris, rank among the top 20 highest income counties in the entire U.S.
That is serious, sustained, concentrated wealth across the northern half of the state.
It is. And this economic prosperity has made New Jersey an absolute magnet for global talent, leading to one of the most remarkable multicultural mosaics in the country.
This isn't just an anecdotal observation. It's a real demographic shift.
Absolutely. As of 2024 census estimates, New Jersey officially became a majority-minority state. The white, non-Hispanic population is less than 50%.
And a quarter, 25% of the state population is foreign-born.
That's the second highest percentage in the nation, trailing only California.
An incredible figure for a state on the East Coast. And the diversity isn't just spread evenly. It's rooted in these distinct, highly concentrated, and vibrant cultural enclaves that have completely transformed certain towns.
Let's focus on the Indian population first. New Jersey has the 3rd highest absolute number of Indian residents in the U.S., but it holds the highest percentage by population of any state.
And this community has built massive cultural and economic hubs. The key example is India Square in Jersey City,
which hosts the highest concentration of Asian Indians in the entire Western Hemisphere. And central New Jersey, specifically the Edison and Middlesex County corridor, is often referred to as Little India.
And Little India is cited as the largest and most diverse South Asian cultural hub in the U.S.
This isn't just a few restaurants. We're talking about vibrant business corridors, cultural centers, massive physical investment in cultural infrastructure.
And to underscore that, I think election ballots in Middlesex County are printed in, 5 languages?
English, Spanish, Gujarati, Hindi, and Punjabi. That's a clear sign of how embedded these populations are in the local political and social life.
And the scale of religious and cultural investment is just huge. In Robbinsville, there's the colossal Akshardham Hindu temple.
which the sources describe as the world's largest outside of Asia. That is a staggering cultural centerpiece that draws pilgrims and tourists globally.
And you see similar concentration with the Korean population.
We do. Bergen County has the highest Korean concentration per capita of any U.S. county, and it's home to the nation's top 10 municipalities by percentage of Korean population.
Palisades Park, which is often called the Korean Village, is the epitome of this.
It's actually a Korean-majority municipality and represents the highest density of ethnic Koreans in the entire Western Hemisphere.
So how does that level of cultural concentration influence local governance or school systems?
Well, it creates this fascinating dynamic of necessity and opportunity. These communities often manage to preserve their cultural identity while adapting to American political structures. In places like Palisades Park, school systems have rapidly adjusted curricula and language services, and local commerce caters almost exclusively to the diaspora.
It necessitates this hyper-local political engagement.
It does, to ensure the needs of this majority-minority community are met.
And the list of high concentration groups just keeps going. It really demonstrates this global microcosm status.
New Jersey has the largest population of Peruvians in the U.S.
The largest population of Cubans outside Florida.
And major Middle Eastern enclaves like Little Istanbul and Little Ramallah concentrated in Paterson.
And this incredible diversity feeds naturally into the religious landscape.
It does. While Catholics at 34% and Protestants at 31% form the bulk of adherents, New Jersey hosts the largest Hindu and Muslim populations by percentage of any state in the nation.
It also has the second largest Jewish population by percentage after New York, and it's experiencing the fastest growing Orthodox Jewish population in the country.
With major institutions like the Beth Medrash Gavoha Yeshiva in Lakewood being the world's largest outside Israel, this is a state where global faiths and cultures are actively building large-scale, visible, and politically influential communities.
And finally, socially, the state is generally regarded as one of the more progressive and liberal states. It's considered widely LGBTQ plus friendly.
We see this friendliness codified in law.
Like the legalization of same-sex marriage in 2013 and the mandate for LGBTQ plus inclusive education in schools signed in 2019.
Plus, the sources mention the emergence of numerous recognizable gayborhoods in places like Jersey City, Maplewood, and Asbury Park, which foster strong community centers.
Okay, now that we've established the demographics, let's talk about the engines that drive this affluence and support this immense population. The economy.
Right. And New Jersey is fundamentally built on what the sources describe as the scientific economy.
That's the perfect term for it.
It is. The state's competitive edge comes down to talent density. New Jersey has more scientists and engineers per square mile than anywhere else in the world.
That is a foundational piece of data explaining its success.
And that talent has been historically channeled into one key area: pharmaceuticals. New Jersey is globally recognized as the world's largest pharmaceutical industry hub.
Which is where it gets the moniker, the medicine chest of the world.
Exactly. This scientific base also bolsters massive related sectors like biotechnology, life sciences, and information technology. Many global pharma giants were founded or maintain massive R&D operations there.
This dominance goes back to the state's historical roots in innovation. We mentioned Thomas Edison earlier.
His development of motion picture technology, the electric light bulb, and later the pioneering work in radio and transistors, all set the stage for centuries of technological dominance that continues to draw high-tech investment today.
That dense concentration of people and high-value industry requires phenomenal logistics. New Jersey is truly a transportation supremacy state.
Its strategic geography is absolutely key to the entire East Coast economy, not just its own. And the anchor of that supremacy is the Port Newark Elizabeth Marine Terminal.
It's globally significant. Historically, the world's first container seaport.
And today, it remains one of the world's largest and busiest. In fact, it's the busiest seaport on the entire U.S. East Coast. This port handles massive volumes of international trade, directly connecting the state to global supply chains.
Then you have the roadways, these transportation giants, essential for moving people and goods inland.
The two massive toll roads. The New Jersey Turnpike, which carries high volumes of interstate traffic, often overlapping with the critical I-95 corridor.
And the Garden State Parkway, connecting the NYC metro area down to the Jersey Shore.
And when we look at the pure volume of traffic, the world records are just astounding. The George Washington Bridge,
The GWB.
the connection between Fort Lee and Upper Manhattan, It carries the heaviest load of motor vehicle traffic of any bridge in the world.
102 million vehicles per year across 14 lanes,
To put that in perspective, that's almost 300,000 vehicles every single day.
often moving at a near crawl during peak hours.
And not to be outdone, the Driscoll Bridge on the Parkway is certified as the world's widest motor vehicle bridge, boasting 15 lanes. These roads move staggering numbers of people and goods every day, making them both vital and famously congested.
And while we're on unique roadway elements, we have to mention the famous New Jersey gas law.
We do. It is still unlawful for customers to pump their own gasoline. New Jersey became the last remaining full-service only state in 2016 after Oregon finally changed its laws.
It's a unique cultural and legal identifier that sparks continuous, often humorous, debate.
It does.
Another critical economic concentration point is Jersey City's Hudson River waterfront. It's often dubbed Wall Street West.
And this area, right across the river from Lower Manhattan, has strategically grown into a formidable financial district in its own right. It boasts over 13 million square feet of Class A office space.
Over a third of the private sector jobs in Jersey City are now in financial services.
Yes, which includes major operations and headquarters for firms like Verisk Analytics, Lord Abbett, and even Forbes magazine, which famously relocated its headquarters there.
And the result of all this high finance and corporate activity is a soaring real estate market and a rapid transformation of the skyline.
Oh, absolutely. The sources note that by the early 2020s, the construction of residential skyscrapers downtown made median rental rates in Jersey City among the highest of any city in the United States. It's rivaling Manhattan in certain neighborhoods.
So let's shift slightly to tourism. It contributes significantly to the state's overall revenue.
It does. The state recorded 111 million tourist visits in 2018, providing $44.7 billion in revenue and supporting over 500,000 jobs overall. Tourism is a key diversification element of the economy.
And the nexus of that tourism often revolves around Atlantic City.
Right. It legalized casino gambling in 1976, making it only the second place in the country after Las Vegas to do so. And while Atlantic City faced a contraction after 2010 due to competition from neighboring states,
The state smartly pivoted to new forms of gaming.
that pivot was crucial for maintaining revenue. In 2013, online gambling was legalized, creating a new, accessible stream of revenue.
And more recently, sports betting was legalized in 2018. New Jersey initially led all states in sports betting handle before eventually being surpassed by New York.
And the lifetime revenue from online casinos in New Jersey had surpassed $5 billion by September 2022, demonstrating that the future of gambling revenue is now heavily digital.
But all this economic activity, all this wealth, it comes with a highly controversial narrative that directly affects every resident.
With a tax burden.
The tax burden. For you, the listener, looking at the balance sheet, New Jersey consistently has the highest cumulative tax rate of all 50 states. We're talking a per capita burden of $7,816.
That is a staggering cost, and that leads directly to the federal taxation disparity, which is a major fiscal point of contention. It's sometimes called the donor state status, meaning New Jersey consistently ranks among the lowest return on taxpayer investment in the entire nation.
The data for 2025 is striking. New Jersey was ranked as having the second lowest return, receiving only 48 cents back for every dollar sent to Washington, D.C.
48 cents on the dollar.
So why is this disparity so extreme? The state is wealthy, but why is the federal return so low?
There are a few key factors. First, the state has a very wealthy population, which means it sends huge amounts in federal income and capital gains taxes. Second, much of the federal budget is allocated based on poverty rates or population size or infrastructure programs that disproportionately benefit states with lower incomes or vast expanses of rural land.
Neither of which describes New Jersey.
Neither of which describes New Jersey.
But is there a counter-narrative? Is there an argument that the high taxes directly fund the consistently top-ranked public schools and that high-end infrastructure, thereby sort of paying for themselves and the quality of life?
Absolutely. The pro-tax argument maintains that residents pay a premium for exceptional public services, from those top-ranked schools to robust municipal services and that highly localized government, which is very expensive to run.
They argue that the high cost of living is offset by the quality of life.
Which is why people with means choose to stay, fueling those high median income statistics.
And to combat that high cost of living, particularly for fixed-income residents, the state recently implemented the Stay NJ program.
This tax relief initiative, set to take effect in January 2026, is a massive political move. It aims to provide an annual property tax cut of 50% for eligible seniors, capped at $6,500.
This is a direct attempt to address the fiscal pressures that have caused older, longtime residents to flee the state.
Exactly, ensuring that the wealth and high tax base remains within New Jersey. The success of this program will be watched very closely nationwide.
Okay, now for the fun stuff. New Jersey's cultural legacy, which is far richer, more influential, and more inventive than the punchlines often suggest.
Oh, much more. The list of inventions is genuinely astounding, demonstrating that sustained scientific culture we just discussed.
We're talking about foundational pieces of technology.
FM radio, the motion picture camera, thanks to Edison's Black Maria, which was arguably the world's first movie studio, the lithium battery, the light bulb, and the transistor.
And it's not just high-tech electronics either. The state's innovation extends into staples of daily life.
Including the zipper, the cultivated blueberry, cranberry sauce, and of course the obligatory Jersey Shore sweet treat, saltwater taffy.
The history of innovation spans from fundamental science to agricultural staples.
It does. And moving on to the palate, New Jersey is affectionately known as the diner capital of the world.
A title earned through sheer numbers in manufacturing history. The state houses over 600 diners.
More than anywhere else globally. And it's even home to many of the original diner manufacturers that built those classic stainless steel-clad structures.
Diner culture is just integral to the state's identity. They function as community hubs, open 247, serving everything from basic breakfast to these elaborate multi-page menus.
And the cuisine itself is so deeply regional. The foods most iconically associated with the state often spark fierce debate. We're talking about Taylor ham.
Or, as North Jersey residents call it, pork roll.
Pork roll. It's essentially a state treasure. Also featured are Sloppy Joe sandwiches, the cold cut stack, not the ground beef version, and tomato pies.
And agriculture is still its third largest industry. NJ ranks highly in the production of blueberries, cranberries, peaches, and asparagus.
And we can't forget the corporate history embedded in the food world. Campbell's Soup, a global institution, has been headquartered in Camden since 1869.
And the state's musical lineage is just pure, unadulterated star power. It's influenced global culture across multiple generations and genres.
You have the chairman of the board himself, Frank Sinatra, born in Hoboken.
Then you have the best-selling New Jersey musician ever, the incomparable Whitney Houston, who was born in Newark.
And, of course, Bruce Springsteen, from Freehold. He is essential to the state's lyrical identity. His entire body of work is an extended lyrical chronicle of New Jersey life.
Detailing the specific struggle of the working class, the failed suburban dreams, the geography of the shore, the quest for escape from those congested industrial towns.
His music is fundamentally rooted in the tension between the dream of the open road and the reality of the congestion.
And we can't forget Queen Latifah from Irvington, one of the first female rappers to succeed in film and TV, and John Bon Jovi, whose band even named a massive selling album, New Jersey.
A great album.
So finally, let's address the split identity in professional sports, which really embodies that tension between NYC and Philly influence.
It does. New Jersey hosts major league teams, but many of them are associated with the neighboring cities.
The only major league franchise to actually bear the state's name is the NHL's New Jersey Devils, based in Newark.
They moved from Colorado in 1982 and have since won 3 Stanley Cups, giving the state one truly homegrown championship team.
But New Jersey also hosts the 2 NFL teams associated with New York, the Giants and the Jets.
And the MLS New York Red Bulls, all playing their home games at venues within the Garden State.
MetLife Stadium, where they play, is one of the most expensive ever built. It's a massive regional draw that hosted Super Bowl XL8 and famously will host the 2026 FIFA World Cup final.
But this situation creates a complex dynamic. The economic driver of hosting these teams is huge, but the identity confusion persists as the state doesn't get the name recognition.
And college sports reflect that split identity too. Allegiances are divided between Rutgers, the state flagship school in the Big Ten,
Seton Hall, the largest Catholic university in the state, and a Big East member.
and Princeton, the Ivy League powerhouse. This internal split is a constant tension thread woven throughout the state's culture.
It really is. So let's conclude by looking at the management structure, which is vital for handling such dense, complex affairs, especially with infrastructure and wealth management.
The governor of New Jersey holds one of the most powerful executive positions in the entire nation.
Their power is exceptional. The governor can appoint the entire cabinet and the judiciary, giving them immense control over policy and enforcement. They also hold a very powerful veto authority, even over budget line items.
Historically, if the governor was incapacitated, the state Senate president had to step in, often juggling two roles.
Which led to significant political friction. That was addressed with the creation of the lieutenant governor role. The position was passed via a constitutional amendment in 2005, with the first lieutenant governor being elected in 2010.
It ensures a dedicated second executive officer is ready to fill any vacancies, stabilizing the executive branch.
And the judicial branch is noteworthy as well. The structure includes the Supreme Court, with 7 justices appointed for 7-year initial terms, but the trial court structure is unusual.
How so?
New Jersey's Superior Court still maintains separate courts of law and equity, divided into law and chancery divisions. The chancery division handles equity matters like trusts and estates, while the law division handles damages and traditional legal matters.
It's an old common law tradition that most other states abandoned years ago.
Exactly. But the most baffling structure for outsiders, and perhaps the most consequential for taxpayers, is the local government.
A staggering 564 municipalities, and every single parcel of land is part of a municipality. That fragmentation we saw in Bergen County is just magnified statewide.
It creates administrative chaos and redundancy. Before 1950, the structure was even more confusing, relying on archaic traditional names like borough, township, and city, which no longer reflected the actual governing structure.
So to modernize this chaotic structure, the Faulkner Act was created in 1950.
Right. Because the old systems were functionally broken for modern dense management. The Faulkner Act addressed this by introducing clearer, modern forms of government like mayor-council or council-manager, allowing municipalities to choose a structure designed for efficiency and accountability.
A crucial piece of administrative reform. And on a smaller note, you might have heard of freeholders, the elected county officials.
But that title was recently changed to the more standardized county commissioners via legislation signed in 2020.
Okay, so in terms of social policy, New Jersey is undeniably a socially liberal state.
Consistently reflecting its diverse and educated populace. Reproductive choice is protected by law, affirmed in 2022. Same-sex marriage was legalized in 2013.
But conversely, the state has some of the most stringent gun control laws in the United States.
A real commitment to strict enforcement. This includes outright bans on assault firearms and hollow-nosed bullets, and strict regulations that don't recognize out-of-state gun licenses.
2 major recent policy shifts are also notable. In 2020, voters legalized recreational marijuana,
which has led to a burgeoning new industry. And in 2007, New Jersey made history by becoming the first state since 1965 to voluntarily eliminate the death penalty.
a significant moral and legal statement about the state's approach to criminal justice.
It was.
Politically, while it is a strong Democratic stronghold in federal elections, it last voted Republican for president in 1988, it does have a long history of electing Republican governors.
Like Christine Todd Whitman and Chris Christie. This suggests a willingness among voters to balance power at the state level, despite its strong Democratic legislature and federal delegation.
So what does this deep dive into the Garden State paradox really tell us?
We've seen that New Jersey is truly defined by its extremes. It's the single most dense state in the nation, yet it protects massive wilderness areas like the Pine Barrens.
It's defined by exceptional wealth concentration, fueled by its status as a scientific and logistical powerhouse, home to the world's busiest bridge and one of the world's largest seaports.
It's a state where a globalized, majority-minority population is packed into a small, strategically vital location at the very heart of the East Coast.
And it's simultaneously leading the nation in public school quality while suffering under the highest cumulative tax burden. It's a place operating at peak capacity, economically, socially, and administratively.
A state that is deeply integrated into the fabric of the global economy, yet manages its local affairs through a fragmented municipal structure that often costs a fortune to maintain.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to consider, based on everything we just covered.
Given New Jersey's scientific capabilities and its role as a global economic and logistical hub managing Port Newark Elizabeth and the George Washington Bridge, and most pressingly, its status as the single fastest warming state over the last century,
how will New Jersey manage the compounding pressures of environmental vulnerability, continuous reurbanization, and maintaining its exceptionally high cost of living, all while sustaining its complex multicultural identity over the next 50 years?
It's a dense question for the most dense state, and it's something to mull over as you see how its future plans, from the Stay NJ program to coastal resilience, unfold.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the paradoxes of New Jersey.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.